Well, it's a new day. I think my battery ran out right at the end yesterday. But got the hard top nice and buffed. So it's got a pretty good shine on it. You can kind of see the reflections on her at the end. Can't really see a lot on the white. It's kind of a funny one. It's very finicky, but it's also very hides certain stuff. Anywho, yeah, there's probably a better view of the just a good shine on it. Otherwise, laid down good. Pretty happy with that. Got her flipped over. It's a little bit tall. This is probably 5 feet off the ground right now because of the way the rotisserie was set up. Threw the headliner in just to make sure everything sort of fit. Was curious how these corner seams played out. So to get that round in the corner, they got those cut in. Looks like they got them trimmed back pretty good. But anyway, got her laid in here just to let it lay out and get kind of flat. Plenty of material. So it comes way past where it needs to up here. Comes way past where it needs to on the side. Same way here. We got it pretty well centered. Not perfect, but like I say, I just threw it in there just because I was curious to see how it laid out, and let it start to flatten out. It was rolled up for a while now. One other thing to check. Gotta work my way in here. I was just curious to see how much they have left over on the back of these guys. They do have to put a seam down the middle. That's not original per se. There was a seam on the factory liner, but it was more in the, it was like a heat press seam in the vinyl or whatever this material is. It's like a vinyl. So they basically seamed the vinyl flat and then they put the foam backing on it after. So instead of seaming the foam, they seamed just that real thin vinyl. So there was, a line across, but not quite as much as this. But yeah, basically the less you can get of extra material hanging off the back, the better off you're going to be. I don't think there's a lot more one could trim off, so I think we're probably going to let that ride. You might be able to nibble a little bit, but then you start to play with you get real close to where the sewing is. You can see they basically sewed it there, and there's maybe an eighth of an inch. I think as long as we tuck it one way versus the other and pull it tight, it should lay down pretty good. So generally what's recommended is to work the front half in the middle, leave the edges open, kind of fold the edges back, get this adhered, work the front, literally the front, then kind of work your way back, and then save the back and the corners, for last. So we'll be probably around that mark. I do have a laser square, so I think I'm going to throw that on here and get some marks. I threw it on. We're actually pretty darn close for just kind of laying it on, but we should be able to pick a spot, measure up, shoot it across, and then we can get this seam perfectly square, and then the rest is just going to go from there. So that is the plan. I did end up picking up my little library step stool as well. That'll hopefully give me a little bit extra. We can tip this, so once we get it started, we could actually start to use the rotisserie part, and we won't have to do everything from the step stool, but should make life a little bit easier. Technically, if I would have been planning, I should have flipped this T-bar around and came here, so it's a little bit, would have let me center the top a little bit better. I don't know if that would have hurt my rotation at all, but anyway, I didn't really feel like messing with it a whole lot. It'll work. So I'm going to get you guys in the rack. We'll see if you can see, because obviously you got to be a little taller than you normally are. We'll get everything kind of lined up, squared up, and then we should be able to start putting some adhesive down and working it forward and back. So that's the plan. Let's see how we do. So these corners are pretty close to coming out to what would be the center of the back corner here. There is a rivet that should be basically So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a rivet number 3 in the middle. This guy's pretty close. And this guy's pretty close. So I think we're sitting pretty good that way. You could slide it fore and aft, and it's going to drive where that comes out. But I don't think we need to really do too much there. So if you push him down, he's going right towards the rivet. If you look down him, he's going towards the rivet. So we're pretty centered, left, right, fore, aft. I know I'm going to whack my noggin somewhere along the way here. And we will need to kind of tape up the side rail as well. Because I know we'll get spray adhesive everywhere if we don't. I'm just going to go like this for now. I may be able to use, I did pick up some of the kind of shipping protective film. I might just rip some of that off the roll and use that. It's probably easier, but alrighty, so that checks out both. I just used a piece of tape as a spacer to go against this rivet. It's basically about a width of tape from the edge of this rivet. Oddly enough, worked out about the same over there. Square ends up about the same. So I think we're sitting pretty good there. I am going to go peel off a little bit of the transport vinyl, and we'll probably put that on. I think it's going to be a little bit less of a hassle than the tape, but we'll see. Maybe more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. But we do need to cover up these rails just to help keep some of the overspray when you're shooting the adhesive. So we'll grab that, see what it does. So use a little tape in the front. This one's narrow enough, the tape's wide enough. Sides should work pretty well. It should come off a little bit easier. And taped off this front visor bar. The headliner actually does come up and up, so then the windshield kind of pinches it, and then this front vertical lip is open, and that's where the rubber gasket goes against the windshield. So tape that up. That's going to get headliner on it. But I think we've got some marks. Generally got stuff closed off. Put a little bit on each little gap here. I don't expect to spray a whole lot of garbage around, but it's better to have stuff blocked off than not. Just put a few small marks, don't want too much, just in case there's any sort of weird bleed through. But it's got to make it all the way through the foam and the vinyl, so not too worried there. But just gives me a little extra when you're folding it back and forth to know that you're not crooked. So yeah, we should be able to throw the headliner back in and get that situated again, spray the front, and get that tucked in, and then start to work our way around. So I got that pretty well lined up again. Seams laying down pretty well. Plenty of material on both sides. Looks like we're pretty well centered. I don't know that that's actually... It's interesting because I don't know if there's anything super square you can shoot down. This is close, I suppose. Might be interesting. Might be able to shoot off that rail and see if we're square. So I'm looking with the pattern in the material. So we're following down that guy. We are actually pretty darn close. So if we follow that bead, link, he stays right there. Yeah, we're in the pretty good. It may be one half pattern off all the way to the rear, which we could shuffle a little bit, but we're going to be flinging it around. You're not going to really see that. We're at least pretty darn close. Checked through it. Always good to check a couple different ways. But that seems pretty good. I don't know if there's a good way to tag the rear down so when you flop it, it doesn't move on you. It doesn't seem like it. So I think it's mostly going to be get a square of adhesive in here and get this kind of worked forward. And then from there, it'll be kind of planted. You can tug on it a little bit, keep it tight. So yeah, I think that's the plan. Might try kicking the rotisserie a little bit, but we will see. But otherwise, I think we're sitting pretty good. I may tape that just to do so. Wherever my tape is. I don't know if that's going to hold much. We'll let her ride. I give up. Yeah, kind of that extra check. You can see my marks kind of running across. Probably can't see them on there. We'll bring you on down for a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see the little Sharpie marks. They kind of run across. That also kind of tells me that that seam is sitting pretty good. There's my mark. But we'll get you back in the rack, get some adhesive on here, and we should be able to fold that guy forward. I will probably stay back a little bit from that seam, so then we can fold it this way, and then should be able to work that seam a little bit easier once things are kind of stuck down. You can kind of pull it tight. If you get adhesive too far that way, it's going to be a little bit weirder. So I guess let's get going. It's not going to stick itself on there. Well, it's been a bit, glue's set up enough that I think we can bring her on over. It's tacky on that side and this side. The main question is there a good way to get that to start? Could tip it my way a little bit, I guess. You'll be in the wrong spot, but that's fine. Whoops. Well, there you go. I don't know where you are. We'll lock that guy down. Maybe able to get a little better bite. Let's flip her back the other way now. Well, so far so good. Laid down pretty well. There's a little bit of a, I wouldn't even call it a pucker. It's mostly just like a slight little bit in the headliner there. I think as we pull it, snug it back, it'll take that out. It's mostly just a little bit where the foam stuck down a little bit tighter in one spot than the other, which was one of the first bits where I reached up with my hand from the other side. So we kind of know what we're dealing with now, at least. So these guys are peeled back. I'm going to work on this section, get it sprayed, get some adhesive on it. How much extra do I have? A little bit, a couple inches. Going to work this middle section, pull it forward, and then we'll work these corners around, and then we'll trim off the excess, I think. I think I'll be able to do that. I should try with a razor on the edge here. Where I know we've got extra. Yeah, we'll be okay. So I should be able to pull it snug and then trim it back and then fold this lip over is my guess. Gotta put this guy back. Give this guy a shaky, shaky, shaky. I could use something. Yeah, a little over 10 minutes again. She's good and tacked up. I should snag my razor blade. The guy's gonna need that. Picked up this before, so plan to use it to help roll things out, and I think it'll help kind of avoid those finger type creases. It's just a paint roller, but it does have the 3/4 inner, so it kind of acts like a little bigger surface area than some of the little rollers like that. Kind of like paint, your hands can usually pick up on stuff your eyes can't, especially in bright white light. This guy laid down pretty darn good. Got her up the lip. Need to trim this guy off now. And I don't know if scissors are going to be any better, or if we're better off trying to do, I'm thinking razor blade, to be honest. So if we look at where he's going. So fiddled around a little bit. Battery died, so this went away. Just been using a paint stir stick, the light duty kind of popsicle sticky looking ones. just as a means to get up in there and poke this all the way back in there. And then it's just been a little bit of trim it back, see if it went, see if it back, trim it back, see if it went. So just a lot of poking around with the popsicle stick. I think we got it trimmed up pretty good. Got the front trimmed up as well. It is, like I say, I got a little bit short here. You can kind of see that front rail. It goes about halfway across. I look back at the old photos. That is kind of enough. The windshield basically rides right here. Okay, this flange bolts to the front of the windshield, so that whole windshield frame sits here, plops up on top. Ideally, I should have it more like this guy, where it runs pretty close to this corner. I don't think it's going to bother anything. Worst case, I might actually run a strip of, I've got some white gaffer's tape just down here, just to help this edge seal and stay down, just so it doesn't have any issues. But otherwise, this is all tucked in, kind of smoothed out, but it is not glued. So if we bring him back out, we should be ready to throw some glue. Whoa, man, don't have enough hands. Throw some glue on this corner, kind of run it back, and get this guy tacked in, and then we'll have to do the same on the other side. So this guy's going to do the same. Same trim back, and then the front half should be pretty good to go. 515. By the time we get these two front corners done, probably be time to grab a quick bite to eat, and then probably burn a little bit of that last bit of daylight on getting the rears tucked in. We'll see. It's definitely a little bit slower and fiddlier than one would want, but it is better to go slow. Make sure the glue tacks, because that's one problem people run into. If you put it down too soon, the glue is still kind of wet, and then it never really glues. Anywho, we'll put you guys back in the rack, probably put you on time lapse. It's just going to be a lot of waiting and poking and prodding. But we should be able to get these front corners done, see how we do. Otherwise, it's laying down pretty nice. You can kind of see this here. It's all, she's all down. So we're making progress, getting better as we go. The roller definitely works pretty good. I use that, bringing this front forward. It's nice because you can reach underneath a little bit. You can kind of get some reach out of it. So we'll keep doing that and probably bring you back when the front's done. We'll see how we do. Well, based on the sunshine outside, it is a new day. Your battery went dead pretty late in the process, I think. We'll see when I edit it. Usually the time lapse runs a little bit longer, but apparently not. I already flipped it over this morning. My bad. But otherwise came out all right. Everything kind of settled in pretty good. You can see those back corners. Those are usually the most problematic. A little bit of a pucker in that side. Not too bad on this side. Once you got glue on that, it is a little bit rough. But the original also had a little bit in that corner. I'll probably poke it a little bit today, see if I can get it to shuffle. But all in all, laid in pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I do have a little reminder for myself just to run the tap through, chase all those holes, because they do have epoxy primer and clear coat and stuff on them. But otherwise, that came out pretty good. Paint came out pretty good. So I think we got a pretty serviceable hardtop. It is October 4th, 5th, somewhere around there, early October. Leaves are flying off the trees. You can kind of see them all piled up on the Jeep there. Oh, excuse me. So it is good timing. Been running around with the top off, got 105 miles on it, something like that. So it's kind of been fun to run the top off for a little bit, but it is good timing to get this guy off the rack and start putting that together, get the hardtop sides on, get the hardtop on. Because cooler weather is on the way. I think we got 70s for another few more weeks, which is rare, but it does get cold fast in the morning and at night. So it's kind of the afternoons are nice, mornings are chilly, and the evenings are chilly. So it's about time to put the doors back on. But definitely good to have the hardtop done, good to have the paint done. I'm pretty happy with that. So there's a little bit of stuff left to do, not a ton. Probably could use one more buff on the top. We'll either do it now or I may let it harden a little bit more and catch it when we do kind of wax in the springtime. It's not end of the world to buff it when it's on the rig. It's a pretty big open surface. It doesn't have like gaskets and stuff, so you're not going around stuff. Like I say, a couple little things. Got to chase some holes. Got to touch up that corner of the headliner probably. See if we can do anything there. And I got to put a little bit of a rub guard on the front here, I think, just so we don't scuff up the windshield. But otherwise, she's ready to go. That's going to wrap her up for today, I think. Who's going by there? That'll wrap her for today. Thanks for riding along. Be fun to see her on the rig. That should be hopefully next episode where you start slapping the hardtop on and getting her together. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. That's lined up. You're gonna drop down pretty close.